the Pistol Shrimp. Do the Pistol Shrimp.
Welcome to the Shrimply Good podcast, the podcast for Pistol Shrimp Baseball. I'm Lucas Burris. Across from me is Jayce Eustice, and welcome to episode 5 of the 2023 season of the Shrimply Good podcast. Jayce, it's exciting to be back here for another week of Pistol Shrimp Baseball. An identical week to last week, though. Another 3-2 week here for the Shrimp.
Yeah, absolutely. And where we're sitting at, situated in the season, already standings watching, already going to be looking to try to lock down that spot. So definitely exciting prospect league season for the Pistol Shrimp.
Yeah, we are standing watching as soon as the second half began, is where we are this point for the Pistol Shrimp. So we'll just continue to do so, continue to make sure we're paying attention to all of it. So welcome into this episode of the Shrimply Good podcast. But let's dive into what we always do, Jason. Let's talk about the 5 games that the Pistol Shrimp had this past week. That takes us from Thursday to Monday with an off day on Tuesday. So the Pistol Shrimp are going to do 5, but they have a lot of games next week, and we'll get to that as well. But let's talk about the 5 games this week. And it started with a 2-game sweep of the Chillicothe Paints, 2 really good games for the Pistol Shrimp. And it started on that Thursday victory, 6-3 over the Paints at Schweickert Stadium.
Yeah, the Pistol Shrimp really got their week off to a really nice start clubbing their way to 14 hits, hitting 3 home runs in that game to grab the win against really one of the top tier prospect league teams so far this season. Max Handren, Zach Lane, and Kedron Kinsey all went yard in that ball game. It was really nice to see Kinsey's first of the season, a 2-run shot there in that second inning to get things going. Cody Kashimoto was 2 for 5. Nico Espequeta 2 for 4. Toby Jackson, nice 2 for 4. Nick Chavez was 3 for 4 in this one. He seemed like he was on base every time up there at the plate. River Scott got the start, 4 innings, 2 hits, 2 runs, 1 walk, 4 strikeouts. Evan Clark, he went an inning in relief. He was perfect in that 1 inning, no hits, no runs, 1 strikeout. And then Sebastian Gonzalez came in and shut the door for the Pistol Shrimp. 4 innings, 3 hits, only 1 run. It was not earned, no walks, and 7 strikeouts for Sebastian. So really, this was a good overall team win with that offense, collecting 14 hits, and the pitching staff really getting things going, showing up and limiting one of the best lineups in the prospect league throughout this season.
Yeah, just a really, really good, pitching performance for the Pistol Shrimp. River Scott looked the best he has all season, and Sebastian Gonzalez continued to do what he did, and just enough on the offensive end, but good to see some other contributors in this game as well, as Zach Lane continued to stay hot, but Kedron Kinsey had a really nice week this week for the Shrimp as well, but he picked it up starting the first week off. But a tough team to beat, and the Pistol Shrimp did everything they needed to do against these Paints to pick up that 6-3 victory, and the Pistol Shrimp did it just again the next day. Another clean victory for the Shrimp, another one of those games that wasn't, hey, we're ahead of the 9th and we might lose, or hey, it might be a walk-off, or hey, we're winning by 17 runs. No, just a 10-6 victory for the Pistol Shrimp over these Chillicothe Paints on Friday.
Yeah, it was really nice for them to go out there and see them kind of complete that sweep. Obviously, with a team like the Paints, it's really hard to beat them 2 days in a row, especially with those pitching arms that they're able to roll out there, and then that dangerous top of the lineup that they have. But the Pistol Shrimp in this one scored 10 runs on only 7 hits, so a little bit different, only half the hits they had the night before, but scored more runs. The big shot in this one was easily that Nico Espequeta grand slam in that 7th inning. Really broke things open from the Shrimp being down 1 to being up 3 on 1 swing of the bat. That's really what you love to see after the Handren intentional walk to really light up Schweickert Stadium. Probably the loudest we've ever heard Schweickert Stadium. It was definitely really nice to hear there. But in that one, obviously, Nico 1 for 4, that home run, 4 RBIs. He was great. Max Handren, he went yard earlier in this game. He had a home run, 2 RBIs, 1 for 4. Jake Satella got going as well, 2 for 4 in this one. Isaiah Hart had a big 2 RBI triple. On the pitching side of things, Daniel Strom, he went 4 innings, 3 hits, 3 runs. Only 2 of them were earned, 1 walk and 6 strikeouts. Gage Burdick continued his nice season, 2 innings, no hits, 3 runs. Only 2 of them were earned, 3 walks, 4 strikeouts. And then Daniel Vogt came in. He ends up getting the win in this one, 3 innings, 4 hits, no runs, 1 walk, 5 Ks. This is one where the Shrimp kind of fought their way back into the game after trailing early for the Paints, and then just kind of exploded in that 7th inning to come back and really grab the reins on this one to get the win.
Yeah, it was a big moment in this season. It kind of gave the Pistol Shrimp a lot of what we thought was going to be momentum heading into the second half of this season as well. But another good pitching performance in this one. Want to highlight Daniel Vogt, who finished off this game with a victory. But really the star of this one is Nico Espequeta, who steps up in a big spot and provides a big moment for the Pistol Shrimp. That's what you need in tight games against very good teams. You need to find that one moment, and the Pistol Shrimp found it in this one with Nico Espequeta. I mean, same amount of hits. Both teams committed probably too many errors in this game, with 4 for the Shrimp and 3 for the Paints, but just enough. Just one big swing, one big 7th inning does enough for the Shrimp, and they sweep the defending defending champ Chillicothe Paints, which is a really big series victory for the Shrimp, especially after the Paints had the the most wins in the first half of this season. They were tied with the Cape Catfish for the most wins. Now Cape had a little better record with less losses, but these Paints have been really good. So this was just a big victory for the Shrimp, taking a team, bringing them to their home field and continuing to do well on the home field for the Shrimp. But it's been the complete opposite for these Pistol Shrimp as they hit the road, and we saw it just the next day as they fell to the Burlington Bees 6-3.
Yeah, it's been rough on the road pretty much all season. Obviously, that's what the Pistol Shrimp are trying to right the ship on and start to get those wins away from Schweickert Stadium. In this one, they scored early and late, but they gave up 6 runs in the middle there to drop this one 3-6 to the Bees. The Shrimp, they had their chances. They left a total of 13 runners on base in this game, but they just couldn't come up with that big knock that they were needing. And we talked about with that big hit from Nico the previous night, just looking for that big, hit. Someone go out there, had a nice double into the gap, or maybe send one over the wall. And this game really kind of shifts and turns the other way into a victory in this one. But Luis Perona, 3 for 5, Max Handren, 2 for 5 with an RBI and a double. Tyler Dorsch, he went 1 for 2 with an RBI and a double. Nico Aspequeda was 0 for 2, but he reached base on 3 walks, including the RBI. Jason Shanner got the start. He was hung with the loss, but he was good kind of spreading those hits around. 4 innings of work, 9 hits, 5 earned runs, no walks, 5 strikeouts. Christian Padilla, 3 innings of work, 3 hits, 1 earned run, no walk, 1 K. Sam Corbin in relief as well, an inning, no hits, no runs, 2 walks, and a strikeout. This was just one where the Shrimp, they left too many ducks on the pond. They missed too many chances, and in the end, you're kicking yourself because you lost a game. You feel like you should have went out there and you should have got that victory in that one.
Yeah, the Bees have had the Pistol Shrimp's number at Burlington this year. That's been the big story. We knew that going into that game as well. So that was the kind of going into it. It didn't feel right, kind of, even coming after those 2 wins against the Chillicothe Paints. And the Bees just came out and they're still leading this division. So, credit to the Burlington Bees, who had a tough first half, just like the Pistol Shrimp, who have really jumped out in the second half of the season. But the Pistol Shrimp, just not enough against these Bees. That was the big story. You can grab 9 hits in a game all you want, but it's not going to be enough when you give up 12, and not going to be enough when you leave enough ducks on the pond, like you said. So the Pistol Shrimp, they fall 6-3 to the Burlington Bees. They continue to have their number, but that victory hurt a lot less than the loss the next day, I should say. So a loss to the Bees hurts, stings a little bit, no pun intended. But then you head to Burlington, and it's another walk-off loss for the Shrimp. Their 7th of the season as they fall 5-4 in 9 innings to the Clinton Lumber Kings.
Yeah, this was a rough one, and it kind of just reminds you a lot of the beginning of the season for the Pistol Shrimp, where there was a lot of these games where it looked like they were firmly in control, had a nice 4 or 5 game lead, and then all of a sudden that other team starts to storm back in this one. And the Shrimp in this one, they went up with 4-0 with that 4th spot in the 5th, but then slowly they kind of let the Lumber Kings back into it. It wasn't kind of that one inning where they just busted through. It was 1 here, 2 there, 1 there. And all of a sudden, over those last 4 frames, Clinton comes back to win that one in walk-off fashion, 5-4. David Indalina, he got the start in that one. He was lights out. 5 innings, 3 hits, 1 earned run, 3 walks, 4 Ks. Justin Rios came in relief, 2 1/3, 5 hits, 3 earned runs, no walks, 3 strikeouts. Gage Burdick went 2/3 of an inning, no hits, no runs, 1 walk, 1 K, no Ks. Nico Aspequeda, 2/3 as well, 2 hits, 1 earned run, no walks, no Ks. The Shrimp only collected 4 hits in this one. Is by Perona, Dorsch, Silkin, and Resetich. Perona, Silkin, Resetich, and Jackson also collected the RBIs on a game that it slipped away from the Shrimp at the end. Obviously, they got really good starting pitching. You knew your offense wasn't all the way there in that one with only 4 hits, but what we come to expect is a double-digit number there for the Pistol Shrimp offense. So in this game, you got it from the starting pitching, that just there at the end, that bullpen let up just a little bit, and the Lumber Kings were able to come back and get the win.
Yeah, you start off this week with 2 big victories against the Paints, and then you drop back-to-back games to division rivals in the Lumber Kings and the Bees. But this one for the Shrimp, the offense just wasn't there, but the offense did enough in this game. You put up a 4 spot in the 5th inning to take a 4-0 lead. You're expecting it, especially after what we saw from David Andolina on the mound, who just battled in this game. I mean, he has struggled in his last few starts, but David Andolina came out and just absolutely battled in this game for the Shrimp to put up 5 no run innings for Andolina. He ended up giving up, 1 towards the end, but it was in his last inning of work as he got pulled. So really, Andolina was just fantastic through 5 innings of work. And then the bullpen comes out and just doesn't do enough for the Shrimp here. And just a tough loss against a very talented Lumber King team. That's the thing there. You can only hold the Lumber Kings down for so long in this game, and just not enough to keep them from scoring those 5 runs unanswered against the Shrimp in those last few innings. But some key performances in that one. Like I said, David Andolina really showed out again for the Shrimp. He helps his stats a little bit. And he moves more towards what we saw towards the first half of the season for Andolina. But the Pistol Shrimp, they needed a bounce back. And let me tell you, the bounce back team for the Shrimp this season it's been the Aviators. There's some about these Aviators this year that the Pistol Shrimp, they have them. And I'll tell you, they've had them over the last 2 seasons. The Pistol Shrimp are now 10-2 against the Aviators over the last 2 seasons. And they showed off again here on just a gorgeous day in Lafayette last night as the Pistol Shrimp defeated these Aviators 7-5.
Yeah, and this was a much needed win for the Pistol Shrimp. Obviously, you get those 2 wins at home to start the week, and you drop 2 on the road. You got to be able to kind of salvage that week, salvage that road trip, and get that win there in Lafayette before you come back home. This was huge. The offense, they bounced back with those 7 runs on 10 hits. And the pitching kind of bent but didn't break late, and that's what you like to see to hold on for a tough win. Jake Ferguson really got things going, 2 for 5, 4 RBIs, including a double. Chance Resetich, always nice to see him back in there, 1 for 4, a couple of RBIs and a double. Kendrick Kinsey continues his hot stretch, 2 for 4 with an RBI. Will Worthington, we haven't talked about him a lot. Obviously, Pistol Shrimp fans remember him from a couple years ago, 2 for 4 in this one as he's back in action. Nico Espoqueta, Chavez, and Lane grabbed the other hits in this one. Daniel Vogue, he went 4 innings, 7 hits, kind of spread those around, only giving up 1 earned run, no walks, 2 Ks. Ryan Keeley continues his stretch of just really good pitching out of that bullpen, 2 innings of work, 4 hits, 2 runs, 1 earned, 1 walk, but he just continued to move through things. That's what you love to see from that bullpen. Sebastian Gonzalez, he came in, shut the door, 3 innings, 3 hits, 2 earned runs, no walks, 7 strikeouts. This was a really needed win for the Shrimp out there on the road to close out a couple of tough losses from Burlington and Clinton.
Yeah, I mean, this was a make or break for this week for the Shrimp. You drop this game, both other teams in the division, actually all 3 picked up a victory on that day. So you're dropping from a half game back or 1 game back to then 2 games back, and quickly we're even more scoreboard watching here in the second half of the season. But as you mentioned, really good performances from the pitching staff. Vogue was great and was kind of a spot start for him as well. We weren't sure going into that day who was going to pitch in that game, but Vogue was fantastic with 4 innings, and Sebastian Gonzalez continued to do what he does. Now giving up 2 runs in this game, a little uncharacteristic, but his ERA is only at 1.69 now instead of 1.45. So really,
so you can live with
can't complain too much, but his 7 strikeouts were the big thing in that game. He used those strikeout pitches to get himself out of some jams. But the key in this game was the bottom of the Shrimp lineup. They got the scoring started. Really good work from Kendrick Kinsey, Nick Chavez, and Jake Ferguson in this game. And Ferguson picked up that big hit. But then we saw some new faces come in and make an impact as well, with Chance Resetich and Will Worthington making their impact in this game. So those are going to be key contributors in the second half of this season for the Shrimp, as some faces we've seen often in the first half are going to start heading back to college, or maybe, finding a different route towards the end of this season. So we're looking for some of those other faces to make an impact in the second half. And this was a good game to showcase some of the guys at the bottom of the Shrimp lineup who really made the big impact for the Shrimp. But like I said, make or break game. You finish the week 3-2 instead of 2-3. You're still paced in this division that is just absolutely jam-packed. It's a log jam in the Great River Division right now. But let's look at this record right now for the Pistol Shrimp, Jayce.
Yeah, it's tough sledding, obviously, when you're kind of looking out there and looking at the standings. But Pistol Shrimp right now sit at 16-18 overall, still trying to fight back to that 500 number. They flirted with it a couple times, just need to go on a nice little win streak to get there. 4-3 in the second half, still 11-5 at home, so a really good home record. But where you're seeing those losses is a 5-13 record away from Schweickert Stadium. And they currently sit 4th in the Great River Division. That's because those Burlington Bees 4-1 in the second half. Clinton Lumber Kings 4-2, and those Quincy Gems, don't sleep on them, 5-3 in the second half as well. So that's how you kind of find yourself in that situation where you have a winning record in the second half, but you're still sitting at 4th in that division.
Yeah, for a team that finished in 4th in that division in the first half after, just a back and forth from those final 3 teams as well, after the Lumber Kings ran away with it. And then the Shrimp here in the second half, like you said, I mean, the Bees, they're only a game back via 2 losses. They have the same amount of wins as the Burlington Bees, but they sit in 4th place. Now, we're not too worried about that Lumber King record, but the Gems are 5-3 as well. So the Gems just have 1 more win than you as well. But both of those teams really not where you want to be. You want to be at least tied or better than one of them, but the Gems have 1 more win than you, and the Bees have 2 less losses than you, which is big in those 2 losses in the loss column. So the Pistol Shrimp are going to have to pick up some key victories coming up this week against some division rivals coming this week that we'll get to as well. But let's talk about some team stats here. That's the big thing for the Shrimp and why we believe that this team should be good in the second half of this season. It all starts with still sitting in the top 3 in a lot of hitting categories. They are 3rd in average at 287, third in on-base percentage at 405 and fourth in slugging percentage at 413. They have the third most hits in the league at 331. They have the fourth most runs scored at 243. They have the fourth most home runs at 24 and the third most walks at 198. This team just does a lot of good stuff on the hitting side of things. And on the pitching side of things, it's very similar. We're seeing them do the great work in the two most important categories. That's ERA, where they sit at fifth at 5.46 and third in strikeouts at 303 on the season. But the side of things we haven't been too excited about this year has been fielding percentage for the Shrimp. Now 14th in the league at 950, but they have officially turned the most double plays in the league with 33 double plays now, and they've caught 18 runners stealing with 2 more last night as well. So they're doing some good work on certain portions, but we're just continuing to see games like we saw even that Paints game where they picked up victory. You put up 4 errors in that game, not what you want to do against a team like the Paints. But what I want to point out here, Jason, I want to have a little bit of the conversation about it as well, is the run differential for the Shrimp. That's the big thing for the Shrimp this season. We've continued to point to it. At one point, it was a little bit higher than it is right now. But the Pistol Shrimp have the 5th best run differential in the league, and they sit at 4th place in their own division. The Lumber Kings are plus 62. The Dans are plus 63. The Paints are plus 72, and the Catfish are plus 128, which is just ridiculous in its own right for the Cape Catfish who are leading this league. But everyone underneath the Shrimp is under 10 in a run differential or negative as well. So talk about how back and forth this league has been. But the Pistol Shrimp are plus 32, the 5th best run differential in the league, and they sit at 4th place in their own division still in the second half.
Yeah. And if you're guys, like us, obviously for what we do, for a living, we're looking around, looking through all the stats, preparing for games, and we're kind of sitting there like, why isn't our record where it should be? I mean, all signs point to us being a really good ball club. I think we really are a good ball club. I think a lot of it is just early on in that season, and we saw it kind of peak its head a little bit here in that one game against Clinton. It's just they found some opportunities, or they found some ways to lose games that you normally lock those down. And normally the Shrimp, they've done that, over the last couple seasons. And so I think you look at all those stats, third in average, third in OBP, fourth in slugging, all those really signs that point to being a great team. And the pitching just continues to rise as well. We're seeing really good starting pitching here as of late. I think if you're going to kind of make a note, you want to see a little bit more from that bullpen, but it's just about finding those outs. After your starter goes out there, gives you 5 innings, I got to fill 4 innings. Who's going to be able, if it's going to be someone that's going to go out there and give me 3, or if I got to go with 4 different guys to give me 1 inning apiece. But I think there's a lot of optimism around this team. And I think really when you look at that run differential, that is a key component, because all 4 of those guys, or all 4 of those teams above them, have already locked up playoff spots. And you look at the Shrimp still fighting, obviously, in that log jam there in the West.
And that's why you feel good about this team as well, if they can make the playoffs. I think it's a big thing as well, of feeling confident about where the season heads, but they're going to have to battle off against these Gems and the Burlington Bees in the second half of the season. That's the first task ahead. If you do that, you're going to head to Clinton, which is a tough place to play, but you've already won a game there this year, so you're feeling good in that sense as well. But the Pistol Shrimp, like you said, they can outscore anyone in this league. And on the run differential side, that's your biggest indicator most of the time. Now, it can get blown out of proportion, and it has for the Shrimp, because they have more than a few blowout wins, and they have 11 one-run losses. So that's where it gets blown out of proportion. That's why you're sitting here with the Shrimp. And that tells you that they're a good team that's just not doing certain things good, which in that case is closing out games for the Shrimp has been a struggle. But the exciting part is Sebastian Gonzalez picked up 2 saves this week. So if that's the plan moving forward, hopefully that's going to work here for the Shrimp moving forward and able to close out games. Now, you can't have a true closer in the Prospect League, but you can really have 2 guys who are that kind of closer. And now Shanner just did get a start for the Shrimp, but what we had talked about moving into the second half was Gonzalez and Shanner being those 2 guys for the Shrimp. So we'll see if that's a plan moving forward, but it's going to start, like just you said, getting to those 2 guys. That is getting good starts with good length and finding 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 guys in the middle who can come out and hold a game close enough so you can get to those guys at the end to hold it close. Now, the Shrimp, they can score, but that's not a lot what the Shrimp do towards the end of games. They are not a team that scores a lot at the end of games. They are a early and middle inning scoring team. So we would like towards the end of this season, if you're looking for a solution, and the best thing is to score later in games more often, continue to pad your lead, and figure out how to get from the starter who's been good and the back of the bullpen that's been good from the middle of the bullpen here for the Shrimp. But I think the big thing there, when we've talked about, is there's been a lot of really good pitchers on this team. But what we've not seen this year is guys who are standing out on the hitting side of things. We see a lot of good guys on the Shrimp, but still only 1 in the top 10 of the Prospect League in terms of hitting categories.
Yeah, that's the thing. It's just been Max Handred up there. He's currently 10th in the prospect league in doubles with 9. So it really kind of has been that 1 through 9 approach for the Pistol Shrimp, where you're getting out there, you're getting those 14, 15 hits, but you're not kind of relying on that 1 or 2 guys in the middle to really kind of carry your offense, which can be really healthy for an offense, because a lot of the times you can struggle when you're relying on those big guys in the middle. Pistol Shrimp we talked about there in that last game, or a couple games ago, as far as the recaps, where it was the bottom of the lineup for the Pistol Shrimp. A lot of the times we'll see those first couple innings go by, and all of a sudden we're starting inning with like the 8-9, and then you see a walk and you see a single, and all of a sudden it's just off to the races for the Pistol Shrimp. They do a really good job there at the bottom of the lineup getting on base. But as far as, like you said, prospect league leaders, just Max Handred in there 10th in doubles with 9.
Yeah, and from the information we know right now, this is going to be Max Handred's last week with the Shrimp as well. So it's something that we have to look out for moving forward. Now, Nico Espoqueda, I will say, is just outside of all of these categories. I mean, he's outside of like 5 of them. Like, he is just outside in OBP, slugging, average, home runs, RBIs. Like, he is close. But he's the only other qualified hitter really for the Shrimp. There's not too many other qualified guys, because we've spread the love around a lot this season. So there's a lot to do with it. There's some really good guys in this team, but we're still not seeing what makes a Paints and a Lumber Kings and a Catfish team so good this season, is they roll the same guys every night, and they're consistently just been dominant this season. If you go to the top 10 of these leaderboards, every category, you're going to see 4, 3, sometimes 5 of those kind of teams. So that's kind of the point. But when you go to the pitching side of things, we're now seeing that for the Shrimp. So that's why we feel confident, because if we look at those pitching leaderboards, Jayce, we now have a third name joining the ranks here for the Pistol Shrimp.
Yeah, it looks really good on the pitching side of things, and it's led off really by Sebastian Gonzalez, now 5th in the prospect league with saves at 3. He's 1st in qualified ERA at a 1.69, 1st in strikeouts at 59, 2nd in innings pitched at 37, and a 3rd and 1st in K per 9 at a ridiculous 14.22 for Seabass out there. And he's joined by a man who's been up there a couple weeks now in a row, David Andolina, 1st in starts with 8, 5th in innings pitched at 34.2, 4th in strikeouts at 40, 7th in K per 9, over 10 at 10.38. And it's really nice to see. He's had a really good back-to-back couple of weeks. Daniel Vogue in there now, 5th in ERA with a 2.81. He's been great in the pitching side of things. And then obviously on defense, we got to talk about Alton Geiselman, who's been great at limiting the base runners against the Pistol Shrimp. He's currently 4th in runners caught stealing at 10.
Yeah, the Pistol Shrimp are doing a really good job of that as of late. Now, it is something that sometimes will bite certain pitchers on the mound, is something we're looking at as the season goes on. But Geiselman's leading the way there. Nick Chavez got in on the action last night as well. So we're seeing a lot of these catchers for the Shrimp start to cut down on a run game for a team that has been run on a little more than you'd like this season, but they've done a good job as of late because they're getting so many, I think, opportunities. This is where we are at this point. That's why Alton Geiselman has 10, because he's had so many opportunities to try to throw guys out as well. So that's been a big thing. But the exciting part there is we're now inching closer to a 3-headed monster that we're finding ourselves with, with David Andolina, Sebastian Gonzalez, Daniel Vogue. Jason Shanner is also just outside of some of these categories as well. So that's the good news for the Shrimp. Pitching is going to carry you towards the end of this season. So that is the exciting part for the Pistol Shrimp. So let's talk about what the Pistol Shrimp are going to have to go through this week, and a lot of divisional matchups for the Shrimp coming up this week.
Yeah, and it does not get any easier. Obviously, you have the off day here today on Tuesday, but then starting tomorrow, you got that double header against Clinton at home at Schweickert Stadium. That is the first pitch, 4:30 to get that one started for the first game. Then after those 2 games against Clinton, you're home on Thursday, July 13th against Danville, regular 7:05 first pitch for that one. Then on Friday, you go on the road at Quincy, a 6:35 p.m. first start. Then you're back home for 2 straight against Quincy on Saturday and Sunday, the 15th and the 16th. On Saturday, it's a 7:05 first start. On Sunday, a little bit earlier, 4:05 first start for that one for the Pistol Shrimp. Then they go back on the road to close out that week, Monday, July 17th at Springfield. That is a noon start on that one. And Tuesday, July 18th, back at Burlington, 6:30 p.m. start for that one. So a lot of division opponents, a lot of familiar opponents. But if you're the Pistol Shrimp, a chance to really do some damage. You got 3 games there in the middle against Quincy. Got to start stacking some wins.
Yeah, and it's the first time this season the Pistol Shrimp will see the Gems. All those matchups are in the second half of the season. Now, 2 familiar faces in Clinton and Burlington. You'll see Springfield, who you saw a lot at the start of the season, but the Shoes have been really good in the second half of the season. And, of course, you see Danville, who haven't seen it a bit, who just cruised to a first half crown as well. So for the Pistol Shrimp, it is a tough stretch against very, very good teams. Plus, 8 games in 7 days for the Shrimp is a long stand, but you get an off day next Wednesday. That's the exciting part. It's not a prolonged 2-week stretch, but still 8 games in 7 days here for the Shrimp. But let's talk about the exciting stuff coming to Schweickert Stadium this week, which starts on Wednesday. That's tomorrow if you're listening as we release this on Tuesday. It's Healthcare Workers Appreciation Night at Schweickert Stadium. Dittos and the Doghouse will be out serving up food, and we'll feature Illinois Valley Center for Independent Living on that game. Remember, that is a doubleheader, so we'll do a 4:30 start with 2 7-inning games, so we'll be able to come out all night. We'll probably go from 4:30 to about 10. I mean, it's going to be pretty much how long we're going to play some baseball at Schweickert Stadium. So get, prepared whenever you want to come out. We'll enjoy that night the entire time. But we're back to normal stuff on Thursday for one of the biggest nights of the year, as we'll do Craft Beer Night presented by Bill Walsh Automotive Group, the Doghouse, and Time Craft Kitchen will be out there. Tapville and Tangled Roots will be out there. We'll feature Illinois Valley Area Chamber of Commerce and First Federal Savings Bank, and Extreme Axe Throwing is currently scheduled to be out there as well. So all the normal stuff we did on Craft Beer Night last year, but a little bit bigger, a little bit more exciting. Remember, the beer tent will more than likely be closed that night because we'll focus on what Tapville has going on. We'll focus on some tastings from Tangled Roots. We'll have lots of exciting stuff going on at Craft Beer Night, and it's all presented by Bill Walsh Automotive Group, who will be giving out some free stuff as well. So make sure you get excited for that coming during Craft Beer Night on Thursday. Then we hit the road on Friday, but we'll return for another huge night. It's Beach Bash. It's bigger. It's probably the best Beach Bash we've done of all the years we've done a Beach Bash, because we're doing specialty beach jerseys as well. It is presented by First State Bank. We'll have the Doghouse Dittos and Starved Rock Tropical Snow. We will feature the Perfectly Flawed Foundation that night as well. It's a huge night on Saturday night, 7:05, first pitch there. And then we celebrate some very important members of our Pistol Shrimp team on Sunday for Host Family Appreciation Night presented by the J.A. Hatt Family Foundation. We're just going to enjoy our host families that night. We're going to celebrate them. They're going to be in our party patio, but you can come and say thank you to the host families who help out the Pistol Shrimp all season long and give a home to our players for the summer. That one has Tony's Butt Shack and Dittos as well. So it's the turn of Dittos, who are here for 3 games this week after they have not been here for almost 2 weeks now. So that's exciting. All the stuff happening to Schweickert Stadium this week. That is Wednesday, Thursday, Saturday, and Sunday of this coming week. So make sure you head out to Schweickert Stadium for 5 games, but 4 days of action at Schweickert Stadium. But Jayce, it's time for the most exciting part of the Shrimply Good podcast. It's time to name the Shrimply Good Players of the Week, presented by Tangled Roots Brewing Company. A battle this week and another good above 500 week for the Shrimp, but 2 players stood out for the Shrimp this week.
Yeah, on the hitting side of things, it was not an easy decision. Obviously, there's a lot of guys that get thrown into that consideration. We got to give it to one of the most important bat middle of that lineup that we're usually seeing, Nico Aspoqueta. He had a really good week. Games played, 13 at-bats, 4 hits, 3 runs, 5 RBIs, a home run, and 5 walks was really key here as he continues to get on base at a good clip. But even when he's not hitting the ball, a lot of the times with Nico, we're not seeing him have a chance to hit the ball, as a lot of teams like to not really go into the wheelhouse. Obviously, with a big power bat, you see that a lot in the prospect league and pretty much all leagues. But Nico has been great over this last week at 308 average, a 500 on base percentage, over 500 at 538 slugging percentage. He continues to hit the cover off the baseball, and he's an important bat once we get down the stretch. One of those guys we can really rely on. So we got to give the nod here to Nico Aspoqueta.
Yeah, led the team in RBIs, walks, on-base percentage, and slugging percentage this week. So he gets the nod, including his big hit earlier this week as well. So Nico Aspoqueta is your Shrimply Good Hitter of the Week, presented by Tangled Roots Brewing Company. And now back to a familiar face on the pitching side of things. We're giving it to Sebastian Gonzalez this week, who just flat out dominated on the back end of games this week. 2 games, 2 saves, 7 innings, 6 hits, 2 earned runs, no walks, and 14 strikeouts for Seabass on the mound, a 2.57 ERA and a 2.14 batting average against. But honestly, we're not too worried about those 2 earned runs. We're not too worried about those 6 hits. What stands out there is the 2 saves in 2 games, the 0 walks, and the 14 strikeouts for Sebastian Gonzalez on the mound. Just fantastic work. He grabs our Shrimply Good Pitcher of the Week, presented by Tangled Roots Brewing Company.
Yeah, and not every team is created the same. And I think the way that the Pistol Shrimp kind of set up their games with their starting pitching, and it's just kind of, let's see if we can get to Seabass at the end. He's just so important in the back end of that bullpen. And if he kind of transitions into this save role, and he's not just a 1-inning save guy, he's more often than not a 3, 4, maybe even 5-inning save guy. He's so valuable at the back half of that bullpen, and whenever manager John Jackman likes to use him to make sure that you can get wins, and he just showed this week too what he's capable of, going out there and racking up 2 strikeouts per inning.
Yeah, almost all these players that we talked about this week are sticking it with the Shrimp for most of the second half of the season. So that's the exciting part. We're going to have a little bit of a moving door as the season goes on, as we always do, but get prepared for some exciting action in the second half of this season. Jayce, another good Shrimply Good podcast. We have more exciting stuff coming up this week, but we hope to see everyone at the ballpark this week as we wrap up this episode of the Shrimply Good podcast. Make sure you come out for the 5 games in 4 days at Schweickert Stadium this week. And remember, if you can't make it to game, you can listen live on 103.9 WLPL on your phone, on your radio, wherever you get 103.9 WLPO. And then if you want to catch me and Jayce on TV, you can catch every game at Prospect League TV. Just go to prospectleague.tv to learn more. But thank you to everyone for stopping by episode 5 of the Shrimply Good podcast for the 2023 season. Fear the Claw, and we'll see you next time.
Do the pistol shrimp. Do the pistol shrimp.